The void of space stretched before the U.S. Defiance like an endless obsidian canvas, punctuated by distant stellar clusters and the remnant energy signatures of ancient conflicts. Captain Jack Thompson stood motionless on the bridge, his reflection ghosting over the holographic displays that pulsed with intricate data streams. The ship's interior hummed with a barely contained energy, a living machine that seemed to breathe with anticipation. Outside the reinforced viewports, the Orion Arm revealed its scared landscape. Decades of conflict between the Krell Confederation and the Sinorian Empire had transformed entire star systems into graveyards of broken starships and shattered dreams. Humanity had watched from the periphery, a species considered too young, too primitive to matter in the grand tapestry of galactic politics. Lieutenant Rachel Martinez approached the captain, her datapad flickering with the latest long-range scans. "Sir," she said, her voice cutting through the bridge's ambient noise, "we're picking up some unusual quantum fluctuations at the edge of the Murex sector." Thompson's eyes narrowed. The Murex sector was a known war zone, a region so thoroughly contested that most navigation systems simply marked it as restricted. A graveyard where thousands of ships had vanished without a trace. His fingers traced the holographic interface, pulling up layers of classified intelligence that most humans, and certainly no aliens, had ever seen. The Defiance was more than just a warship. It was a testament to humanity's rapid technological evolution, a vessel that represented years of secret research and development. Every system, from its quantum adaptive hull to its revolutionary propulsion mechanism, challenged everything known about space travel and combat. Chief Engineer Michael Rodriguez entered the bridge, his movements deliberate and precise. A holographic schematic of the ship's experimental drive system materialized between Thompson and Martinez. "The quantum resonance stabilizers are operating at 98.7% efficiency," he reported. "We've managed to integrate the new metamaterial adaptive circuits without any significant power degradation." Thompson allowed himself a slight smile. The technical achievement was more than just an engineering marvel. It was humanity's ticket to relevance in a galaxy that had long ignored them. Traditional faster-than-light travel relied on predictable quantum tunneling and established hyperspace lanes. The Defiance could literally rewrite those rules. "Prepare long-range sensor sweep," Thompson commanded. His voice carried the calm certainty of a military leader who understood that the next few moments could change everything. Martinez's fingers danced across her console. Advanced sensor arrays, designed to pierce through quantum interference and detect minute energy signatures, began their silent hunt. The ship's AI, a distributed neural network far more advanced than any alien computational system, began processing terabytes of data per second. A soft chime interrupted the bridge's concentration. "Anomaly detected," Martinez announced. Her tone carried a mix of professional calm and underlying excitement. "Multiple energy signatures consistent with large-scale military engagement. The signature matches previous Krell-Sinorian conflict patterns." Thompson stepped closer to the main display. Holographic representations of potential conflict zones began to materialize, swirling clouds of data that showed ship movements, energy weapon discharges, and the complex mathematical predictions of potential engagement scenarios. Michael Rodriguez studied the display, his engineering background allowing him to see beyond the visual representation. "Those energy signatures," he muttered, "they're consistent with a major offensive, but something's different this time." The bridge crew knew what that something represented: an opportunity. Humanity had spent decades building technological capabilities in secret, observing, learning, preparing. The major galactic powers had dismissed humans as a minor species, a civilization still struggling with its own internal conflicts, barely capable of exploring its own solar system. They were about to learn how wrong they were. Captain Thompson's hand hovered over the strategic command interface. Every sensor, every weapon system, every revolutionary piece of technology aboard the Defiance was about to be tested, not just as a military asset, but as a statement, a declaration that humanity had arrived on the galactic stage. "Maintain course," he ordered. "We're going to get a closer look." The U.S. Defiance continued its silent approach, a predator moving through the cosmic darkness, about to change everything humanity and the galaxy understood about warfare, technology, and potential. The Cenorian dreadnought burned against the backdrop of endless space, its massive hull breached and venting atmosphere in ghostly plumes of crystallized vapor. Krell battlecruisers swarmed like razor-sharp predators, their energy weapons carving molten wounds into the dying vessel's metallic skin. Thousands of crew members faced imminent extinction, their final moments measured in heartbeats. Lieutenant Rachel Martinez watched the unfolding massacre through the Defiance's advanced sensor arrays. Her fingers hovered above the weapon control interface, a complex network of quantum adaptive targeting systems that represented the pinnacle of human technological innovation. Each display flickered with probabilistic combat models, calculating potential outcomes faster than any biological mind could comprehend. "Multiple Cenorian life signs detected," she reported, her voice steady despite the carnage unfolding before them. "Estimated survival time: less than 17 minutes. A subtle tremor ran through her voice, not fear, but anticipation. Captain Jack Thompson studied the holographic battlefield. Years of military training and strategic analysis crystallized into a moment of decision. Protocol suggested non-intervention. Years of diplomatic careful positioning recommended staying hidden. But something burned within him, a fundamental understanding that this moment could change everything. "Tactical assessment," he commanded, turning to Chief Tactical Officer David Blake. Blake's fingers moved across his console, holographic displays blooming with complex threat analyses. Krell battle group composition: 7 primary cruisers, 15 support vessels. Cenorian dreadnought critically damaged. Enemy weapon systems operating at 89% efficiency. Our quantum phase cannons could neutralize the entire battle group in approximately 6 to 7 minutes. The bridge fell silent. Every crew member understood the weight of the moment. "Sir," Martinez interjected, "we're receiving fragmented distress signals from the Cenorian vessel. Their primary communication arrays are barely functional." Thompson's decision crystallized in an instant. "Weapons hot," he ordered. "Quantum phase targeting online. Full adaptive response protocol." The Defiance transformed. Its sleek hull seemed to shimmer, adaptive camouflage systems rendering it nearly invisible against the starry background. Advanced sensor baffles would make their approach undetectable by conventional tracking systems. Martinez's hands danced across her console. The ship's revolutionary targeting system wasn't just about accuracy, it was about predictive engagement. Where traditional weapon systems responded to existing threats, the Defiance's quantum phase cannons could calculate and neutralize potential attacks before they were even conceived. The first shot was almost a whisper of energy. A Krell battlecruiser simply disappeared. Not exploded, not broken. Completely erased from existence, its atomic structure disrupted at a quantum level. The surrounding ships didn't even have time to register the threat. "Direct quantum phase strike," Martinez reported. Her voice carried a mix of professional detachment and barely contained excitement. "Target neutralized without conventional energy discharge." The Krell fleet's formation began to break. Centuries of military doctrine collapsed in moments. Their ships moved with practiced precision, but precision meant nothing against an enemy that could predict and neutralize threats before they manifested. Chief Engineer Michael Rodriguez monitored the ship's systems, his fingers dancing across multiple holographic interfaces. "Power distribution at optimal levels," he reported. "Quantum adaptive systems are performing beyond projected specifications." Each subsequent shot from the Defiance was a mathematical poem of destruction. The ship didn't just attack, it rewrote the very rules of space combat. Krell vessels found their weapon systems disabled before they could fire. Their defensive protocols rendered meaningless by a technology they couldn't comprehend. In less than 7 minutes, an entire battle group ceased to exist. The Cenorian dreadnought, moments away from total destruction, now drifted in shocked silence. Captain Thompson opened a communication channel, knowing full well that their intervention would send shockwaves through galactic politics. "Cenorian vessel," he transmitted. "This is Captain Jack Thompson of the United Systems Navy. We have neutralized the immediate threat. Prepare for potential rescue and medical support." On the bridge, a moment of profound silence followed. They had just changed everything. Not just a battle, but potentially the entire understanding of humanity's place in the galaxy. Lieutenant Martinez looked up, a slight smile crossing her face. "Threat neutralized, sir," she said simply. The U.S. Defiance hung in space, a silent, deadly promise of humanity's true potential. The communication chamber aboard the Cenorian diplomatic vessel hummed with tension. Holographic representations of senior Cenorian leadership surrounded Chief Engineer Michael Rodriguez, their crystalline exoskeletons shifting colors in patterns that betrayed deep emotional turbulence. Each movement spoke of centuries of galactic political intrigue, and now a complete disruption of everything they understood. "Explain," demanded High Coordinator Vexnell, their translucent form flickering with an iridescent blue that Rodriguez recognized as a sign of extreme agitation. "How does a species we have barely acknowledged produce such technological capability?" Rodriguez smiled, a carefully calculated expression of confidence mixed with diplomatic nuance. His presentation materialized between them, a holographic symphony of technological schematics that defied conventional understanding. Each diagram represented years of secret human research, technological leaps that had been developing in the shadows of human exploration. "It's not about raw power," Rodriguez began, his voice steady and measured. "It's about adaptive intelligence. Our technology doesn't simply react. It predicts, it learns, it evolves." The Cenorian diplomatic corps exchanged rapid color shifts, a language of communication more complex than verbal speech. Confusion, suspicion, grudging respect. Meanwhile, aboard the U.S. Defiance, Captain Jack Thompson received encrypted intelligence reports that painted a more complex picture. The Krull reconnaissance missions had intensified, each probe revealing another layer of human capability that defied alien comprehension. Lieutenant Rachel Martinez entered the captain's ready room, her datapad displaying a complex web of communication intercepts. "Sir," she reported, "we're tracking at least 17 distinct communication channels. The Krell are absolutely terrified." Thompson studied the holographic display. 17 communication channels meant 17 different political factions within the Krull Confederation, each interpreting the human intervention differently. Some saw threat. Some saw opportunity. Some saw something entirely beyond their comprehension. Back in the diplomatic chamber, Rodriguez continued his presentation. He revealed the fundamental principles behind the Defiance's quantum adaptive technology, a revolutionary approach that merged quantum mechanics, advanced artificial intelligence, and a holistic understanding of computational strategy. Traditional warfare, Rodriguez explained, is about overwhelming force. Our approach is about predictive adaptation. Our systems don't just respond to threats, they anticipate them, neutralize them before they fully manifest. High Coordinator Vexnell's form shifted to a deep emerald green, a color Rodriguez's xenolinguistic training identified as cautious curiosity. "You suggest your technology is more than a weapon," they stated. It wasn't a question. "We suggest our technology is a problem-solving mechanism," Rodriguez corrected gently. "Warfare is ultimately a failure of communication, of understanding. Our goal is not destruction, but resolution." The implications hung in the air like a complex mathematical equation waiting to be solved. Aboard the Defiance, Captain Thompson received an encrypted communication from Earth Command. The message was brief, but loaded with historical significance. They wanted a full tactical and diplomatic report. And they wanted it yesterday. Lieutenant David Blake approached the captain's station. "Sir," he said, "we're detecting increased communication traffic from multiple Krull subsectors." It seems our little intervention has stirred up a galactic hornet's nest. Thompson allowed himself a slight smile. Disruption was often the first step toward meaningful change. The diplomatic negotiations continued. Rodriguez walked a delicate line, revealing enough to demonstrate human technological superiority, but not so much as to appear threatening. Each schematic, each explanation was a calculated move in a complex political chess game that had been playing out for centuries. "Consider our technology," Rodriguez said, bringing up a holographic representation of the Defiance's quantum adaptive shield system, not as a weapon, but as a conversation. "We're not here to conquer. We're here to demonstrate an alternative approach to conflict resolution." High Coordinator Vexnel's form shifted to a complex pattern of blues and greens, a color combination that suggested deep contemplation. Centuries of galactic political wisdom were being challenged by a single human engineer and the warship that had appeared like a ghost in the cosmic battlefield. As the diplomatic session continued, one thing became increasingly clear. Humanity had just become impossible to ignore. The galaxy would never be the same. The research station hung in the darkness of space like a forbidden secret, its exterior deliberately mundane, a camouflage of technological brilliance, hidden behind layers of deliberate mediocrity. Commander Sarah Williams studied the station's schematics, her fingers tracing holographic interfaces that revealed only a fraction of the facility's true capabilities. Located in a forgotten region of deep space, the station represented humanity's most advanced and closely guarded project. The Singularity Resonance Cannon was more than a weapon. It was a philosophical statement about the nature of conflict, technology, and potential. Captain Jack Thompson entered the primary research chamber, his presence immediately altering the room's atmospheric tension. Chief Scientist Dr. Andrew Reynolds looked up from a complex holographic model, his eyes burning with the intensity of someone who understood they were on the precipice of a technological revolution. "The quantum entanglement matrices are stable," Reynolds reported, his voice a mixture of professional detachment and barely contained excitement. "We've successfully integrated the multi-dimensional resonance capacitors." Thompson studied the weapon's core, a device no larger than a standard personnel transport module, yet capable of fundamentally altering the fabric of spacetime. The Singularity Resonance Cannon represented a breakthrough that went far beyond traditional understanding of warfare. Lieutenant Rachel Martinez began her technical briefing, her hands moving across holographic displays that revealed layers of complex mathematical models. "The weapon doesn't just destroy," she explained. "It creates a quantum field that can simultaneously communicate across multiple dimensional planes. Essentially, it's a communication device masked as a weapon of unprecedented power." Dr. Reynolds nodded, excited by the philosophical implications. "Imagine being able to make every participant in a conflict simultaneously experience the cumulative emotional and psychological trauma of their entire conflict history, not as a weapon of destruction, but as a tool of understanding." The room fell silent. The implications were staggering. Intelligence Officer David Blake entered with a classified report. The Krell and Sonorian reconnaissance missions had intensified, each probe revealing another layer of human technological capability that defied comprehension. But this weapon, this concept, was something entirely different. "We're not just developing a weapon," Thompson said, his voice cutting through the technical discussions. "We're creating a mechanism for conflict resolution that transcends traditional understanding." The station's internal systems hummed with a barely contained energy. Quantum computers processed billions of potential scenarios, each calculation refining the weapon's potential applications. It was a delicate dance of mathematics, psychology, and unprecedented technological innovation. Dr. Reynolds brought up a comprehensive model of the weapon's potential applications. "Traditional weapons destroy," he explained. "Our Singularity Resonance Cannon creates understanding. It doesn't eliminate combatants. It eliminates the psychological mechanisms that create conflict." Lieutenant Martinez added technical context. "The quantum entanglement matrix allows for simultaneous multidimensional communication. We're essentially creating a shared consciousness field that can transmit emotional and psychological experiences across entire conflict zones. Captain Thompson understood the profound responsibility. This was more than a military asset. It was a key that could unlock galactic peace or total annihilation. The fine line between revolutionary technology and potential catastrophe had never been so razor-thin. The station's security protocols were unprecedented. Multiple layers of quantum encryption, adaptive camouflage systems, and distributed neural network defenses ensured that no external force could breach its secrets. Humanity had been preparing for this moment, a technological leap that would change everything. "We're not just developing a weapon," Thompson said, looking at the team assembled around him. "We're developing a new approach to conflict resolution, a way to make civilizations truly understand each other." Dr. Reynolds brought up the final simulation. The singularity resonance cannon's potential was both terrifying and beautiful, a mathematical poetry of understanding that could fundamentally alter the nature of interstellar conflict. The weapon sat in its containment field, looking deceptively simple. Yet within its quantum matrices lay the potential to rewrite the entire understanding of communication, conflict, and coexistence. Humanity had arrived, and nothing would ever be the same. The diplomatic chamber aboard the interstellar conference platform shimmered with tension. Holographic representations of alien delegations created a vibrant mosaic of conflicting interests, with humanity's representatives seated at the center, an unexpected pivot point in galactic politics. Commander Sarah Williams studied the assembled representatives. The Cenorian delegation shifted in hues of deep emerald and electric blue, a color language that spoke of cautious interest. Opposite them, the Krell representatives maintained a rigid crystalline formation, their angular bodies reflecting a spectrum of metallic grays that suggested deep internal conflict. "The human intervention has created a fundamental disruption," announced First Mediator Krellinx, their voice a complex harmonic that translated through advanced communication systems. "We cannot ignore the technological capabilities demonstrated." Lieutenant David Blake leaned forward, his diplomatic training evident in every calculated movement. "We're not seeking conflict," he responded carefully. "We're offering a new perspective on resolution." Behind the scenes, intelligence networks hummed with activity. Some Krell factions saw humanity as a potential ally against long-standing Cenorian territorial claims. Other conservative elements viewed the humans as an existential threat that needed immediate neutralization. Captain Jack Thompson watched the proceedings from a secure communication hub aboard the U.S. Defiance. Lieutenant Rachel Martinez monitored multiple communication channels, her fingers dancing across quantum-encrypted interfaces. "We're tracking 17 distinct communication streams," she reported. 6 Krell sub-factions are showing potential diplomatic openness. 3 are preparing defensive protocols. The diplomatic dance was complex. Humanity had entered the galactic stage not as a conquering force, but as an unexpected variable that challenged existing power structures. Each alien delegation struggled to understand a species that seemed to operate outside traditional political and military paradigms. A secret communication channel opened. High Coordinator Vexnal of the Cenorian delegation sent an encrypted message directly to Commander Williams. The communication was delicate, laden with centuries of political nuance. "Your technological demonstration suggests capabilities beyond mere military potential," the message read. "We are interested in understanding the philosophical foundations of your approach." Commander Williams crafted her response with surgical precision. She uploaded a comprehensive data package that explained humanity's approach to conflict resolution, not as a series of military strategies, but as a complex system of understanding, adaptation, and collaborative problem-solving. The Krell conservative faction, led by High Command Executor Razik, began mobilizing defensive formations. Massive battleships gathered at strategic points, their energy signatures creating complex patterns of potential conflict. "Humanity represents an unknown variable," Razik communicated to their inner council. Their technological capabilities suggest they cannot be categorized using existing galactic threat models. Aboard the Defiance, Chief Engineer Michael Rodriguez analyzed the developing situation. "They're trying to understand us," he told Captain Thompson, "and they're terrified of what they might discover." The diplomatic platform became a complex ecosystem of potential alliances and conflicts. Some Sinorian diplomatic subgroups saw humanity as a potential mediator in their centuries-long conflict with the Krell. Other factions viewed the humans with deep suspicion. Lieutenant Blake's diplomatic skills were put to their ultimate test. He began a series of nuanced communications that demonstrated humanity's commitment to collaborative resolution. Each message was carefully constructed, revealing just enough technological potential to create interest, but not enough to trigger defensive responses. "We're not here to replace your existing political structures," Blake explained during a particularly tense negotiation. "We're offering a different perspective on conflict resolution." The alien delegations exchanged complex color sequences and harmonic communications. Humanity had become an unexpected wild card in galactic politics, a species that didn't follow any expected pattern of development or interaction. As the diplomatic negotiations continued, one thing became increasingly clear: the galaxy was changing, and humanity was at the center of that transformation. Captain Thompson watched the holographic displays, understanding that these negotiations were about far more than immediate political advantages. This was about fundamentally reimagining the nature of interstellar cooperation. "We're writing a new chapter of galactic history," he muttered to himself, watching the complex dance of diplomacy unfold. The Defiance hung in space, a silent promise of humanity's potential, a technological marvel that had become the unexpected fulcrum of galactic political transformation. Space erupted in a symphony of destruction. Thousands of alien warships converged, their combined mass creating a metallic hurricane designed to crush the human threat. The U.S. Defiance and its small task force represented something the approaching armada could not comprehend: a multidimensional approach to warfare that transformed the battlefield into a living, breathing strategic nightmare. Captain Jack Thompson stood on the bridge, his posture calm despite the overwhelming odds. Lieutenant Rachel Martinez's fingers danced across her quantum-adaptive targeting systems, each movement a calculated mathematical poetry of potential engagement. "Incoming wave configuration," she reported. "Krell battle formation Delta 9. Sinorian support wings approaching from secondary sectors." The conservative military factions had united, an unprecedented alignment of two historically antagonistic civilizations, driven by a singular purpose: the elimination of the human threat. Massive battleships created intricate geometric patterns, their energy weapons charging with enough destructive potential to obliterate entire star systems. Chief Engineer Michael Rodriguez monitored the ship's adaptive systems. "Quantum resonance shields at maximum efficiency," he called out. "Predictive interference patterns are stabilizing." Captain Thompson's voice remained measured. "Execute multi-dimensional engagement protocol." The Defiance transformed. Where traditional warships moved in predictable three-dimensional space, the human vessel began to exist simultaneously across multiple potential combat scenarios. Quantum computing systems calculated billions of potential outcomes each microsecond, creating a combat environment that defied traditional military understanding. Lieutenant David Blake managed the strategic communication systems. "Tactical analysis suggests they're operating under a unified command structure," he reported. "But the communication protocols are breaking down under our quantum interference." The alien armada's first wave struck, a massive discharge of energy weapons that would have vaporized any known vessel in existence. The Defiance seemed to shimmer, its quantum-adaptive hull not just absorbing the attack, but redistributing the energy across multiple dimensional planes. "Energy redirection at 97.3% efficiency," Martins announced, a hint of professional pride in her voice. The human task force moved with an almost organic fluidity. Each ship operated as part of a living, breathing computational network, Where traditional military doctrine suggested rigid formation and predictable engagement patterns, the human vessels created a combat environment that was simultaneously everywhere and nowhere. Krell battleships found their weapon systems neutralized before they could fire. Cenorian support wings discovered their most advanced tracking systems rendered completely ineffective. The human technology didn't just defend. It predicted, adapted, and neutralized threats before they could fully manifest. They're attempting a concentrated energy convergence, Blake warned, tracking the alien fleet's maneuvers. Captain Thompson's response was immediate. Quantum dispersion protocol. Spread our defensive matrix across potential engagement dimensions. The Defiance seemed to fracture, not physically, but across computational space. Each potential version of the ship existed simultaneously, creating a combat environment that the alien fleet's computational systems could not effectively analyze or engage. Rodriguez's voice cut through the tactical reports. Adaptive camouflage systems are creating computational noise that's disrupting their targeting algorithms. We're essentially becoming a mathematical problem they cannot solve. The battle transformed from a traditional military engagement into a complex dance of computational potential. Alien commanders watched in growing horror as their most advanced weapon systems were neutralized not through overwhelming force, but through a fundamental reimagining of combat strategy. We're not destroying them, Thompson explained to his crew. We're demonstrating the limitations of their current understanding. Massive Krell battleships began to drift, their systems confused by quantum interference patterns that seemed to rewrite the fundamental rules of spatial engagement. Cenorian support wings found their most advanced tracking systems rendering their weapons completely ineffective. Lieutenant Martinez tracked the battle's progression. Enemy computational systems are experiencing cascading failure, she reported. They cannot adapt to our multidimensional engagement protocols. The human task force moved with a fluidity that suggested they were more than just ships. They were a living, breathing computational organism. Each vessel operated as part of a larger, more complex system that existed beyond traditional understanding of military engagement. As the battle continued, one thing became increasingly clear. This was more than a military confrontation. This was a fundamental demonstration of a new approach to conflict, a technological and philosophical statement that would reshape galactic understanding. The sky burned with the potential of human innovation. The moment of transformation began with a quantum whisper. The Singularity Resonance Cannon activated, not as a weapon of mass destruction, but as a profound instrument of collective consciousness. Lieutenant Rachel Martinez watched in awe as quantum entanglement created a living bridge of shared experience across thousands of alien minds. Captain Jack Thompson understood the true nature of their intervention. This was more than a battle. It was a fundamental reimagining of conflict resolution. The quantum field expanded, a delicate web of interconnected emotions and memories. Alien commanders who moments ago sought mutual destruction now found themselves experiencing the cumulative trauma of their centuries-long conflict. Memories cascaded, generations of loss, of pain, of seemingly endless warfare transformed into a singular, shared understanding. A Krell battle commander named Kreelx suddenly experienced the grief of a Cenorian mother who had lost her child in a border skirmish. A Cenorian tactical officer relived the terror of a Krell soldier watching his entire squadron disintegrate in the cold vacuum of space. Centuries of hatred dissolved in moments of profound empathy. Chief Engineer Michael Rodriguez monitored the quantum matrices, his fingers moving across holographic interfaces that seemed to breathe with living mathematical potential. "The emotional resonance is stable," he reported. "We're maintaining quantum coherence across multiple consciousness planes." Lieutenant David Blake tracked the psychological impact. Communication channels that moments ago crackled with hatred now transmitted something entirely different: confusion, understanding, a profound sense of shared trauma. "They're experiencing each other's pain," Blake said softly, "not as an abstract concept, but as a lived reality." The battlefield transformed. Massive warships that moments ago sought mutual destruction now drifted in a shared state of profound realization. The quantum field created by the Defiance's revolutionary technology did more than transmit information. It created understanding. Commander Sarah Williams watched the holographic displays, understanding the profound philosophical statement they were making. Humanity wasn't conquering. They were offering a fundamentally different approach to conflict. "We're not destroying," Captain Thompson communicated across all channels. "We're helping you understand." The quantum consciousness field continued to expand. Generations of conflict, of hatred, of seemingly insurmountable differences began to dissolve. Military commanders saw through the eyes of their enemies. Soldiers relived the most profound moments of loss and connection, experienced by those they had been taught to hate. Rodriguez's voice cut through the technical reports. "Quantum empathy matrix is holding stable," he reported. "We're maintaining coherence across multiple dimensional consciousness planes." Alien vessels that moments ago formed a massive war machine now drifted in a shared state of profound realization. The mathematical precision of human technology had created something beyond a weapon. It was a bridge of understanding. Lieutenant Martinez tracked the psychological metrics. Aggression levels across all monitored species were dropping. Computational models showed a massive reduction in conflict potential. What had begun as a military intervention was transforming into something far more profound. "We're rewriting the fundamental approach to conflict," Thompson explained to his crew. "Not through destruction, but through understanding." The quantum field continued its delicate dance. Memories intertwined, moments of loss, of hope, of profound connection that transcended species boundaries. A Krell commander relived the first steps of a Cenorian child. A Cenorian tactical officer experienced the last moments of a Krell soldier's life. Hatred dissolved in the face of shared experience. Blake's communication systems captured the transformative moment. Diplomatic channels that moments ago crackled with tension now transmitted something entirely different, a profound sense of shared humanity, even among species that had nothing to do with human biology. The Defiance hung in space, a living testament to a fundamentally different approach to conflict resolution. Not a weapon of war, but an instrument of understanding. Rodriguez's final report captured the moment's essence. "Quantum empathy matrix stable," he said. "We've created something beyond technology. We've created connection." The galaxy would never be the same. Humanity had arrived, not as conquerors, but as bridge builders. 3 standard galactic cycles after the unprecedented intervention, the universe looked fundamentally different. The U.S. Defiance had become more than a warship. It was a living symbol of a new approach to interstellar relations. Captain Jack Thompson stood on the observation deck of the newly established Galactic Mediation Center, watching holographic representations of former enemy civilizations work together. The massive structure orbited a neutral star system, a testament to humanity's unexpected role as galactic mediators. Lieutenant Rachel Martinez approached, her datapad displaying complex diplomatic metrics. "Conflict resolution rates are unprecedented," she reported. "Interspecies cooperation has increased by 742% since our intervention." The transformation was more than statistical. The quantum empathy field created during the battle had fundamentally altered the psychological landscape of multiple civilizations. What had begun as a military demonstration had become a profound philosophical revolution. Chief Engineer Michael Rodriguez managed the diplomatic communication systems. Each interface represented a delicate network of understanding, built on the revolutionary technology that had changed everything. The quantum communication matrices now served as bridges between civilizations that had spent centuries in conflict. "We're not just sharing information," Rodriguez explained to a delegation of young alien diplomats. "We're sharing experiences. We're creating understanding." The Krell and Cenorian representatives, who once sought mutual destruction, now worked side by side. Their diplomatic teams included veterans from both sides of the centuries-long conflict, individuals who had experienced each other's pain through the quantum consciousness field. Commander Sarah Williams oversaw the diplomatic proceedings. Her role had transformed from military strategist to something more complex, a bridge builder between civilizations. Humanity didn't conquer, she often explained to curious delegations. We offered a different perspective on conflict. Lieutenant David Blake managed the extensive communication networks that now connected multiple species. Each channel represented not just an information conduit, but a living bridge of potential understanding. The technological breakthrough that had seemed like a weapon of war had become humanity's most profound diplomatic tool. The Singularity Resonance Cannon sat in a secured museum, not as a weapon, but as a symbol of a new approach to interstellar relations. Diplomatic sessions now included mandatory empathy training, based on the quantum consciousness principles developed by human researchers. Species that had spent centuries in conflict now found themselves understanding each other's deepest motivations, fears, and hopes. Captain Thompson reflected on the journey. What had begun as a single intervention had transformed the entire understanding of conflict resolution. Humanity had entered the galactic stage not as conquerors, but as unexpected mediators. We didn't change the galaxy through force, Thompson told a group of young human diplomats. We changed it through understanding. The economic and social implications were profound. Trade routes that had been impossible now flourished. Species that had viewed each other as existential threats now collaborated on massive scientific and exploratory projects. Rodriguez's research teams continued to develop the quantum communication technologies. Each breakthrough promised further understanding, further connection between civilizations that had once seemed hopelessly divided. Technology is just a tool, he would explain. Understanding is the real breakthrough. The U.S. Defiance became a training vessel, its crew teaching a new generation of diplomats and researchers the principles of quantum empathy and interstellar communication. What had begun as a military vessel had transformed into a symbol of hope. Lieutenant Martinez tracked the long-term implications. Conflict zones that had burned for generations now showed unprecedented levels of cooperation. Scientific exchanges replaced military confrontations. Shared understanding became the primary currency of interstellar relations. Commander Williams often reflected on the unexpected nature of their intervention. Humanity had not sought to become galactic mediators. They had simply offered a different perspective, a way of seeing conflict that prioritized understanding over destruction. The galactic map had been redrawn, not through conquest, but through connection. Captain Thompson watched the holographic displays, understanding that they had changed something fundamental. It wasn't about technology. It wasn't about military superiority. It was about the profound potential of truly understanding another being's experience. The galaxy would never be the same. Humanity had arrived.